Hey, what's going on YouTube? Before I get into the earnings call bullshit and the shit I found out at Citadel and all the other crap, I want to know who manipulated the shit out of 10%. They were up earlier. Literally every bit of it too. But there is a cup and handle formation in the stock forming as we speak, and I believe it should start forming the handle about 30, anywhere from 35 to 35, and really from 35 to 35.5. That'd be probably the best, and then it should taper off sideways, and if so, then we could break out of that cup and handle about 2 o'clock Mountain Time. No, I'm sorry, that's way off. That would be, what the hell? Sorry, it's showing me odd numbers. That would probably be about 1 o'clock. So an hour before regular market closes is when we could break out to the upside out of the cup and handle if this continues. So let's hope so, because some of that 10% back. But we did just break out of a wedge yesterday midday. We just broke above the wedge, and with the way aftermarket pre-market was, we broke strong above it. So that trend should continue well above the wedge, and shouldn't go back in that channel. Unless they super manipulated then, but I think they were pulling one out of their ass for what they did this morning, but we'll see. Get more into that with Citadel later. The earnings call, the CEO Adam Aron, he literally just described Q2 as AMC crushed it, and they did comparable to Cinemark and all those other movie chains that also did well in Q2. We beat on revenue, we beat on earnings. They're both beats, but you don't find that in these articles that are popping up this morning, because they're all, I don't know how the fuck they're finding negative shit about that earnings call when it is beating all the estimates. That, and he said that cash burn is significantly down from Q1 of this year. It's still up there, but it's manageable now, he says, basically. Especially with the amount of equity that he has. There's $2 billion in equity, which is double than Q1, so that's great. So we have more cash on hand. Also, he expects cash flow to turn positive sooner than a lot of people are expecting. Some aren't expecting it ever to go cash flow positive, which is pretty, that's all the fluffy fucking media, which is a bunch of bullshit, because they don't obviously read numbers. But he expects cash flow to turn positive in Q4 of this year. And if you remember, an article that came out, I think, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, stated that if AMC can go cash flow positive, AMC's valuation could be very possibly worth $75 a share. So, so he could be worth $75 a share by Q4 of this year. And that's going off the fundamentals too. And that's one thing that people have always trashed about it, but fundamentals are catching up. They've been dropping a lot of, they've been kind of combing through their assets and dropping a lot of their non-profitable theaters, and they're ones that are, just doing nothing but burning cash. And they're acquiring proven money, cash cow theaters. There's a couple that they acquired in California, one in Chicago, and another in New York and Ohio, I think. And they're also finishing up some new builds that they started pre-COVID, and they're going through with them and going to finish them, and they're going to be opening brand new movie theaters. He said, and those will be throughout the rest of this year and into 2022. And another interesting thing that he brought up is they will be accepting Bitcoin by the end of this year. It'll be by 2022. So by the end of Q4, they'll be accepting Bitcoin as payment for movie tickets and so on and so forth at all their theaters. And they're going to expand more on the cryptocurrency and that technology, he said, but he said that's where they're going to start. And, he said the sky's the limits with that kind of stuff. He's kind of just getting into it, getting to know it. And they're trying to get the rights to show NFL games, NBA, MLB, college sports, all that stuff, but he says it's kind of expensive and kind of hard to get the rights to show those at the movie theaters, at any venue, really. But they're in the works, and they're trying hard to get it and secure those if they can get them for a decent price and all that good stuff. And they're going to continue doing that, the UFC fights and so on, and experiment with other things like that. They secured a contract with Warner Brothers that has a 45-day exclusive theater first AMC. So basically, when they're done with their movie and ready for people to view it, for it to go out to the people, it's going to have 45 days first in AMC and AMC alone in the movie theaters before it can go anywhere else. So that's great. That kind of secures their position in that. People are afraid of the Netflix and shit taking over, but it won't. But that kind of solidifies that a little bit. And he said they're going to look into doing more. They're in talks with all the movie makers out there. Every theater, every movie maker, and they're in talks with all of them to try and secure more contracts like that with theater first exclusives. He's gonna go to the board of directors and ask that all board members and executives, all the big head honchos that are in charge of AMC and basically our stock and the company and everything, the main people, the presidents, the CEOs, the chairmen, so on and so forth. But he's going to go to them and ask that all board members and all executives be required to hold AMC equal to a certain amount of years of their salary, so that basically whatever they do with the company is directly invested in their investments. So they're tied into it just like the investors are. He kind of broke it down a little bit. He said basically it would be Adam Aron, the CEO, would have to have 8 years worth of AMC stock, of 8 years worth of his salary. So 8 years of his salary, he'd have to have that many shares of AMC at all times until he leaves, fires, quit, whatever. And then same thing with the president and vice presidents. It would trickle down from there because they don't make as much, so it'd have to be like 6 years worth and 4 years worth, and then so on and so forth down. But I think that's a great idea. It would show it would solidify the confidence in the CEOs with the investors directly. So that's fantastic. And I do think he will go to, if he says that he will go to them and ask them that, and I do think that they will agree upon that. And it will make them work hard for everybody, including themselves. Because if they don't work hard and don't do the right things, then they lose their ass double. So that every bit of that was positive news. The money, the financials, the acquisitions, the steps they're taking. Oh, and they're taking good steps in COVID. He's not too worried about the Delta variant. He says as time progresses, there'll be more vaccinations, and that'll in turn turn into the stop of that current spread. He says, but that current spread should not get to anywhere near the last one because of how many percentage of people are vaccinated already, and it's only going to increase. So he says he's not too worried about the Delta variant, and he says even if it does get a little bit worse, he says, well, that's why we have the safety measures in place at all of his theaters, out of all of our theaters, to prevent any kind of spread. So he says what they have in place is good moving forward, and it shouldn't be a big issue. So that's great. But everything about that earnings call was fantastic news. And I like what he said. He was personable, and he pretty much answered all the questions that we needed. Even the bullshit ones at the end that people were just throwing in there just because they're... Would you team up with GameStop? What the fuck? Sorry, people. No! Stupid! Yeah, GameStop's gonna team up, be business partners with AMC. How? A gaming company and moving company. Was it gonna be people having gaming competitions from one theater to the other and big ass... Sorry, no. Not beneficial for AMC in any way, shape, or form. But he even humored the idea and said that if they reach out, they'll talk to him or whatever. But come on, guys, that's just stupid. There's just nothing to work together there. It has to be mutually beneficial, and no way, shape, or form is that. Okay, so regards to that. After the earnings call, there was the SEC chairman. He posted on his own Twitter account a video of him having an interview with someone interviewing him, and he finally said it. He said that to the retail investors that have been all over my Twitter account, he said, regarding the dark pools, they are looking into it heavily. They're looking at the market structure, and they are going to investigate that situation. And he did say that because there are a lot of retail trades that don't make it to the lit market. They go through these other channels and never make it to the lit market, get dumped off elsewhere. And he did specifically say that. So he's admitting that it is happening, and he is said looking into it very much. So I do believe that they're gonna catch him. You know, how can you not? Just look at this morning. I'm sure they could have just caught him just this morning. Who knows? Maybe they did. Oh. And he didn't specifically mention also hedge funds in doing so too. You know, it's kind of duh, but at least we have confirmation that he is fucking listening, and they are looking into it. So now he has to, because he said it. So now if he doesn't, then, you know, I don't know. You know, his ass will get canned or shamed on social media and have to move to Canada or something. I don't know. But at least that's that. I mean, that's great. So with both of those going on in the last 24 less than 24 hours, no wonder we jumped up 10% in pre-market. Well, aftermarket and pre-market. Well, why dump that 10% at the very opening of market? Manipulation. I was watching the dark pool volume, and it was up there. I mean, it was up there. But I found another channel that they're doing it. I've been digging into Citadel, and yes, they're doing it through the options. Fucking people, stay out of the fucking options. Stay out of the options and we'll catch them, because then they'll be the only fuckers in the options with a shit ton of volume going, yeah, we're buying and selling it to ourselves. Because that's what they're fucking doing. They're making the options as their market maker, and then they're selling the options to themselves for profit, and then using those buy ones, and then they're cashing out on those options for stock, but using their other entity, instead of letting those shares go on the lit market, they're putting them into Citadel Liquidities Fund, LTD. I know most of you don't know what the hell that is. Well, that's Citadel's little exemption monkey. Because it's fucking stationed, it's stationed in the Cayman Islands. So it's exempt from fucking needing to share any kind of information. It literally says amount of shares available to trade. It says indefinite. And then it says what stock or how many, and it just says choose not to disclose. And then it says exempt, because it's in the Cayman fucking Islands. So, and not only that, like, Citadel isn't just a market maker. You know, they're a broker. They have 3 entities that I've found that are current, that have current licenses to be a broker dealer. That's Citadel Securities of Delaware, and then Citadel Clearing LLC, and then also Citadel Technology Transitions on Transaction Services LLC. Those are 3 broker dealer services. They still have Citadel Advisors LLC. And then now they have Citadel Liquidities Fund Ltd. That's stationed in the fucking Cayman Islands, that is exempt from any oversight or requirements of filings. That's where they're fucking doing it, people. They're not doing it in the dark pools. Yeah, maybe time. Yeah, they are a little bit, obviously, but they're just doing that to, you know, hey, yeah, we're doing dark pools. Ooh, badass. Shame, shame. Only because they're doing fucking 20 times the volume into the Cayman Islands. It's fucking ridiculous. So they're, you know, the dark pool, because the dark pools go in within 24 hours anyway. Most of them usually just a couple hours, and that never reflects on the stock price. I've noticed that too. It just disappears. It doesn't ever show back up. It doesn't really show up where it should at all. And that's how they're doing it with Citadel Equities Fund Ltd. in the Cayman fucking Islands. It's fucking disgusting, but I mean, what the fuck are we gonna do, I guess? So, yeah. With all that good news, and fuck Citadel. That's right, I said fuck you, Citadel. Oh. If I get assassinated, you know who did it. Ken Griffin, you jackass. I'm gonna make another video strictly on them, just because. But anyway, we should be way the fuck more up than 1.78% if it weren't for market manipulation. But the cup and handle, we got a little bit of a weak cup, but there's a cup, and now here's the handle. So let's hope for a break to the upside sooner rather than later. If not, then I will just probably trade sideways the rest of the day. But this market manipulation is bullshit. But anyway, that's good news, good news, good news. So stay positive, and it's gonna squeeze as soon as the SEC chairman sticks his finger up at Ken Griffin's butt. That's my opinion.